I'm your host, Ariel,
And I'm your host, Joshua.
and we're the Midnight Guild.
We're the Midnight Guild, a new podcast coming to you. Our stories will be focused on supernatural, the paranormal, anything spooky related. If you love Halloween, you'll love us.
100% agree. We're mostly going to talk about, let's see, serial killers, unsolved mysteries. Let's see what else.
Finally gonna figure out what happened to little John Bonet. It's coming.
Word. Let's see. What's that? Cryptids. We really want to focus. We're going to do a series on cryptids.
And conspiracy theories, my
Yes.
favorite.
Yes, I'm very excited for that.
I'm
We
very
actually have a video coming out soon about the Bohemian Grove and the conspiracies around it. So you'll definitely want to tune in for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we hope you enjoy our video. Remember when you could smoke in restaurants?
Yes.
That was way before our time. We weren't able to, I mean, we were alive, but that was way before we could ever smoke a cigarette.
I'm
And
pretty sure my dad still smoked in the waiting room when I was being bored. Not that he was allowed to. That didn't stop him
right,
from
he just
smoking,
went.
though.
Yeah, literally. I used to remember, like, we never sat in the smoking section, but you could still smell it.
We always had to.
And I don't know why, but when I was a kid, I really liked that smell.
We always had to sit in the smoking section.
Oh, yeah, 'cause your dad
Always.
smoked.
Yes.
Okay, I
always.
got you. See, nobody in my family smoked. That in my immediate family. Now, my aunts did, and I used to
Did
take.
they have the pouch, the little?
Yes,
little
that
pouch?
that you would put like that you would open like a change purse.
Yes.
And then put the cigarettes
Yes.
down in, and then at the front had a little lighter holder.
Oh,
yes.
something lovely in turquoise.
Or burgundy.
Bur-
Literally.
The burgundy. We're completely off track.
Oh, that's okay. No big deal. Welcome to our podcast. Yeah, what he said.
Stop it. Stop it.
Let's see. What was I going to say? Oh my God. When we're off to a fabulous show.
Our first episode, we're primarily just going to talk to you about our personal experiences, what kind of led us into
Want to pursue
Passes,
like
yeah.
talking about it.
our fascination with anything macabre. I like that
Very.
word, macabre.
Oh yeah, me too. I love that word.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can just throw it in any sentence
You really
either.
can't.
And I wait to say macabre, but I'm jealous that you got to.
I'm sorry. It'll come up again, I'm sure.
It will. It will. Today, like he said, we're going to focus on our own stories, what got us like hooked on the paranormal, how we became friends, and how we kind of just knew. Like it's like when sometimes you meet people and you click, but you do not know them at all,
Oh, yes.
but it feels like you have known them previously. So we have a little weird story about that, but I swear we have known each other in previous lives or dimensions or something. Because you can't tell me. Sometimes I think we might have been siblings in another life.
It could have been.
Because I'm just like, why are we the same freaking human being?
No, I did have a one of those people who reads like your past lives and everything.
Yeah, like the same kind of woman like that would do tarot, but
Yes,
instead reads your past lives.
Yes. She told me at one point in time I was apparently a female, which probably makes a lot of sense to the people I went to high school with. But
Preaching.
she told me that I was the grand mistress of, a grand estate. She was probably my
Oh.
lady's maid.
Oh, not just a friend. The audacity.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Maybe you were her.
Oh, maybe.
She was a mistress of a grand estate.
She was a mistress of a grand estate.
Let's see. Okay, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Well, I am a gentleman, so ladies first.
Okay. So, I have quite a few paranormal experiences. Most of them were when I was younger, and then even like preteens. But nothing really happened to me again until I was 21, and nothing has really happened after that until the past 2 years. The past 2 years when I started actually getting into the paranormal more because I was like starting to watch more paranormal stuff on YouTube. It just popped up and I watched it one day and I was hooked with paranormal investigating and all that stuff. So I just kind of went from there and I started really thinking on it and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I think I might have had way more paranormal experiences than like your average person. Like I'd say, I mean, I'm sure all kinds of people have experiences, but like there's an ungodly amount for me. And some of them are not like worth telling because they're just super small. But some of them is like why did you just keep going on about your day like nothing happened because something freaking crazy happened? So I think I'll start off with one that happened recently. When I say recently, like a year and a half ago, maybe a year. Like I said, I had gotten into ghost hunting within the past 3 years. The past three. I literally just said that, but whatever. And I was being very cautious. I was doing like, I really looked into like protecting yourself, especially if you're going somewhere that has like a malevolent past, a violent haunting or anything like that, which I have rarely been to anywhere that has had like a violent haunting. And like, I've never been somewhere where the haunting is because somebody has been murdered there or has like died like super horribly. So most of the spirits I've ever had the like privilege of actually like I feel like I'm actually communicating with them has been far and few and in between that makes you like really that they seem threatening.
Malevolent.
Y'all. See, I got to say a big word too. Macabre. Okay, so me and a couple of my friends and my husband went to go investigate kind of around if you're from where we're from, there's a place called Netherland Inn Road, and it connects to another road called is it Sensible Road? Is that the road, or is it Sensible Holler?
Oh gosh.
Well, the road anyway. The road next to Netherland it leads to a place called Sensible Tunnel, and
one of our more famous haunted attractions.
yeah, definitely look it up, and we'll actually talk about it on a future video. And then it's also next to, before you turn down that road, it's next to the Rotherwood Estate, which is seeping in
So much.
super, super like violent history when it comes to when it was a plantation back in the day. And of course, unfortunately, it did have slaves. And
and a horrid owner.
Horrible owner. Now the guy that built it, great guy, but the owner, John Phipps,
Yes.
was his name. What it like the horror stories out of there is just it's crazy. I actually did a YouTube video on it on my channel that I used to have, but I only did 2 videos and then I got a job where I could not, like I had no time. So I was like, dang it. So this is like a new chance for us.
So we'll bring you something about Rotherwood too.
You dang right we will,
Right.
because like I feel like we both know so much about it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but sorry, I get off on a tangent. You can tell we've got the first time jitters just a little bit. So I feel like we're getting off topic more than we usually would. So about a year and a half ago, I had been out ghost hunting with my friends and things were going really, really well. And we were talking to something that claimed to be 3 soldiers. Because there was a battle fought there in the Civil War, just one battle. Nobody even died. I think maybe one person died, but it wasn't because of the battle. I cannot remember, but
Probably dysentery.
something, yeah, probably. So it was something like that. But they claimed to be 3 soldiers that were wanting to go home to their wives and like stuff like that. Great conversation, wasn't scary at all. But then my friend Hannah actually asked about Sensible Tunnel up the road, if there was any entities that knew anything about Sensible Tunnel and the tragedy that happened there, which was, it said it's a lot of different stories.
A hodgepodge.
So nobody really knows exactly what happened, but it is bad energy. I've been there, I don't know how many times, and I think it could be because it's, I don't know what it's called when you believe something. When she brought that up, the whole vibe changed. And like you could feel it in the air. And this is a warm spring night. Like, I'd say this was literally like towards the beginning or middle of May or something close to it. It was really warm out. And then when we brought that up, the whole atmosphere changed, the weather changed. Like, I mean, the way the temperature dropped is what I'm trying to say. Like, you could just feel that chill in the air, and like everything just felt super light and airy when we were talking to these soldiers that were really friendly. And then the whole vibe changed, and like literally the REM pod started going crazy. And then our spirit box was like, don't ask. And saying stuff along those lines, like, don't ask, witch, get away, stop, that kind of stuff. I did not feel good about leaving. I felt, well, no, I wanted to leave. But when we left, I felt really uneasy about it. And that was the first time that had happened to me. So I was like, I kind of kept to myself. I didn't even tell Jesse. Jesse's my husband. And I was just like, no, I'm fine. I'm just being stupid because it's the lure of Sensible Tunnel. And I've just got this in my head that it really is something. Well, I do practice a little bit of witchy things like spell jars and stuff like that to keep the house spiritually safe and that kind of thing. So I do a couple little witchy things.
It never
And
hurts.
what never happens?
I said it never hurts. You do
Oh,
some witchy
absolutely.
things.
No, heck no. And
Never hurts.
you know, what's a little extra protection,
Exactly.
right?
Another layer.
So, I had actually, funny enough, taken down my spell jars that earlier that day or the day before, I can't remember, before we went ghost hunting. And I empty them, wash them, recharge the crystals that are in it, and then I make them either with crystals I have ready to go already, or I'll wait until the next morning after they've charged during the night. So I never go more than like 24 hours without having spell jars up. And I was like, well, I never had any issues before I started putting the spell jars up. So why would it happen now? I think I'm fine. But that also was before I started messing with
The moment of doubt.
the paranormal. It was like way before I started messing with paranormal that, of course, I didn't have anything trying to get in my house. I haven't bothered anything.
Right.
I haven't tried to talk to anyone. So I left them down. I didn't have time to do it the next day. And then, honestly, I just forgot for the next couple of days. And after the whole sense ball thing, we went home. Everything was pretty much okay that night. I was uneasy, but like nothing crazy happened. But the next day, something just felt off in the house. And I literally didn't even give it a second thought. Like, I just thought I was in like kind of a bad mood. And I just wasn't feeling like my normal self. And so I still didn't do the spell jars because I just kept forgetting. And that night, like I said, nothing had happened throughout the day. It was a weird vibe in the house, but like I said, I just took it to my own attitude. And that night, got in the bed. Jesse had already fallen asleep. I went to bed super late, like probably around 1:30, 2 o'clock. Sorry, I keep scratching my nose. For some reason, my allergies are giving me hell.
Is it the candles?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. It's just that time of year. So Jesse had already been asleep for quite some time, and I left the living room, got ready for bed, washed my face, all that stuff. Nothing bad happened. Went and got in the bed, laid down, just like I always do, and I had my eyes closed, and my cat Astrid, I thought she was in the bed, because when I walked in the room, she was behind the door, just all snuggled up sleeping. And I can't see crap without contacts or glasses. So I had taken my glasses off, put them on my side table, and I just assumed that Astrid was in the bed and I didn't feel her get in it because I felt like something like brush up against right here. It was like just light as crap. I thought literally and probably was her tail swiping. Didn't move, nothing like that. Because I just didn't give it a second thought. Not more than probably 3 or 4 minutes later, it did it again, but it was like more pressure. Like not scary, not hurt you, but like just more pressure and like almost like somebody tugged the cover. Like, you know. I was like, Astrid, quit. And I didn't even look. And it happened again not more than a few minutes later. And I finally had enough. And so I grabbed my glasses and was putting them on. And I didn't feel her right here. So I thought that was weird. And I put my glasses on and I went, Astrid. She's not there. And I look back behind the door. Astrid's still curled up, sleeping. And I was like, still do not attribute it to anything paranormal. I was like, okay. I was like, I must be having a muscle spasm. Swear to you, that is what I thought. And because, of course, you don't want to believe anything's in your house.
Never.
And I just laid back down and took my glasses off, but I put them next to my pillow on the bed, not on my bedside table, so I could snatch them.
Cat-like reflexes.
Yes. And I'd say probably almost 10 minutes probably went by. I was still freaked out. I still hadn't fallen asleep, excuse me. And I was like right there, right before you're really about to fall asleep.
Oh, yeah.
And something went like on my covers right at my calf. And I was like, no. So I leaned up and did it just was the first thing that came to me to do. I leaned up, and where Jesse was sleeping, I didn't say it loud. I just was like, you need to stop it right now. I'm trying to sleep. And it didn't happen again. Later that night, same night, I probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours after I'd finally fallen asleep, I get up because I need to pee. And I stand up, I got my glasses on, I can see perfectly. Astrid is behind the door, still sleeping. And I walk out, and literally, you walk out my bedroom door, it is literally 4 steps, and you're inside the bathroom. And I go in there, I sit down, and then here comes Astrid, and she's super quiet on her feet, so I thought I just didn't hear her come out of the bedroom. And, like, her little feet are just, quiet, quiet, quiet. So I was just like, I was just like, hey, baby. And I leaned down as I pee. You know how it is. And I was giving her the scratches. She was just meowing, and she kept rubbing up against my leg, which is weird because she always wants to rub up against my hand. She wants me to put my hand like this, and she wants to jump up and kind of head bump it, and then for me to rub down her back. And I thought that it was really weird that she was weaving in and out of between my legs. She had never done that. I was just like, not thinking anything about
Precious.
And as I'm finishing up, I'm just getting ready to, I hate to say it like this, but I don't know how else to say it, like I'm wiping. And stand up. As I stand up, Astrid runs off straight down the hallway and sits near her little perch that has her food and water. And I can see her perfectly. And so, flush, everything like that. I'm washing my hands. And
Thank God. Not you said you were washing your hands. I was like, thank God.
Oh. That's the takeaway.
We always promote good hygiene.
Your hands. Good hygiene, honey. So I was washing my hands, but I actually was still looking at Astrid because I had leaned back a little bit because she was just being so cute that I was just talking to her, but like whisper talking because I didn't want to wake Jessie up. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And the weirdest thing, she went, which was so weird. Like, it was just the way that she turned her head. That I'm not doing it correctly because it just didn't look natural.
Yeah.
And
Pet Cemetery like.
It was just weird. She was just blank-faced and staring at me. And that was, I know cats stare, but, like, this was weird. And I was like, are you okay? Because I thought she saw something. And I start walking through there. I walk out of the bathroom. Astrid walks past the hallway. Like, she moves from where she was sitting at the end of the hallway and walks into the next room. Whew, bitch.
Cut that out.
I'll leave it.
Rebels.
So I walked in the hallway, which isn't a super long hallway by no means. And I turned to the corner because the way she walked looked like she was walking to the back door where she likes to sit up on another perch and look out the window. And I turned to look, and she was not there.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Oh.
the way the table is, it's kind of pushed up against the wall. In my mind of just being like, oh no, nothing bad's happening. I look under the table, nothing. And I was like, what on earth is happening? Because I was like,
No.
Nothing's in this house, honey. Even though I was starting to freak out. Like, you know, I feel like when your skin starts tingling, like you can feel the hair raising up on you because you're so scared. So I was like, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. And I went back into the bathroom and just kind of like, this is going to sound so lame, but was like talking myself down in the mirror. I was like, everything is fine. Everything is fine. Because I am known to have panic attacks. I was like, do not start freaking out. It's the middle of the night. Jesse's got to go to work tomorrow. Do not freak out. I calmed myself down. And at this time, I was walking out of the bathroom and I'm turning the light off. And I can see Astrid at the end of the hallway, right? Again. And I was like, in my head, I was like, you little bitch, you scared me for nothing.
Right.
Oh, God. This is the creepiest. Oh. I go into the bedroom, and our bed is almost right next to the door. On my side, I lay down. I'm getting ready to take my glasses off, and I swear to you, my cat is sleeping behind the door the exact same way she was when I left. Looked identical to my cat.
Oh, wow.
I petted this cat.
That's crazy.
Like, that is the craziest that's ever happened to me.
Wow.
Like physical. Because, Josh, I'm not kidding you when I say that I pet this cat.
Like, wow. Okay, that's not really where I saw that going, but okay.
Yeah. Honey, you best believe your sweet ass sorry that I woke Jesse up. I said, Jesse, wake the hell up right now. And I got up, I flipped the light on. It's like probably 3:30 in the morning. 3:34ish. And I wake, and he was like,
Definitely the right time.
Right? I was like, Jesse, get the hell up right now. And he was like, oh my God, what's happening? I guess he thought somebody was breaking in the dang house. I was like, I was in hysterics. We'll have to have Jesse tell you. I mean, he will tell you I was freaking out. I 1000% was like, there's a freaking mimic in the house. So, yeah. Pretty crazy. See, I have wanted to tell you that story for so long. But
She's been holding out. This is the first time I've heard this story.
I wanted to
the very first time.
I could not wait to tell you this story, but I wanted to wait for when it would be on camera.
Well, I did not expect all that. I'm not gonna lie.
Is that not crazy?
That's
but
beyond
now,
crazy.
Other than what happened with you and me,
I would have had to move out.
Oh, I cleansed the house and put more spell jars up and everything like that. I've never had another issue.
Oh, well, good.
Ever. What was I going to say? Other than what happened with me and you, and when we had two of our friends over here, other than that, that is hands down the craziest, because where I physically touched something and it felt just like a normal cat. That is 100% the weirdest thing that has ever happened to me, other than what happened with us.
Wow.
God, my nose is driving me crazy.
Need a tissue.
Oh no, not at all.
Some Flonase.
It's just itchy. And I know people are going to be in the comments. They're going to be like, she's been doing cocaine.
We'll start having that free merch. Just say no.
Stop it. You're going to make me spit my coffee out. Okay.
All right.
Now, your turn.
Composure.
Do you have one that you've never told me before? Fingers crossed.
I actually do.
Yes.
Actually, I do. I actually have a sensible tunnel experience as well.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
And we hadn't even talked about doing a
we
video on it, but we have to.
At all. We will.
All right, let me get situated.
Okay. So, this was back when I still lived in Kingsport.
Okay.
My neighbor, who she wasn't from here, she's from Maine, and we was just driving around one day.
Mm-hmm.
I had told her pretty much the local lore,
right,
of Sensible Tunnel, and I am, how do you put it? I've always been very skeptical. I mean, not saying that I don't believe in it, anything like that. I've just always been very skeptical
of Sensible Tunnel,
of everything supernatural.
Oh, really?
Yes. Well, which a lot of it is, because I've never truly embraced being an empath or anything like that.
Yeah, so, that's a whole nother topic, because literally I do want to get into that.
So again, that's a long story. We won't go into that. So, but we're going, I told her the legends of Sensible Tunnel, which we're not going, I guess we'll say that in a different video. All the legends, and that there's several, and I mean, they're horrific too.
Uh-huh.
So we get to Sensible Tunnel, and it is not it's a very kind of overcast kind of day, kind of rainy.
When is it not?
Right.
When is it not when something scary happens?
So, and whenever it rains hard, the water runs through the tunnel.
And it can get like a lot. Deep. Like it floods.
So, we're driving through, and we hit, all of a sudden, we're probably about, midway through. I'm driving.
It is a pretty long tunnel.
And I'm creeping through pretty slow at this point in time. Again, very skeptical. And we're not even driving in deep, deep water. But all of a sudden, all of this steam starts coming out of my engine. Just tons of steam. And my car's not overheating. No lights have come on. No sensors have went off. The heat gauge is fine. But just all this steam is just coming out of my trunk. Right. So, I mean, we get almost to the end of the tunnel, and then all of the little lights on the dashboard just start going off.
Going in and out, in and out.
Glitching, almost. Like the car is glitching. And it was a newer car, so it had a lot of automatic stuff to it. And
this happens in Sensible Tunnel, stuff messes up with your car.
Yeah. And again, now, this is not my first time being to Sensabaugh Tunnel.
Right.
You know, because that's a rite of passage.
That is
around here.
100% a rite of passage.
You know, I mean, I went as a teenager, but again, we really didn't spend no time there, anything like that.
Were you just like driving through, or did you guys ever do the challenge?
We didn't do the challenge.
See, me and my friends did it one time, and it was so terrifying.
Well, no, okay, so technically we did do the challenge, but it was like a church group kind of thing, so I'm pretty sure whatever.
That's hilarious.
Right. So it was
Let's
like,
go to church, kids, and then also we're going to go to Sensabaugh
we talked
Tunnel.
our youth pastor. We talked our youth pastor into doing this for us, and she was kind of cool. So you know,
Right.
she did. But again, I really, because you know, I mean, honey, I'm sure there's nothing coming near that van. No evil spirits. You should have
Right.
met our youth pastor. So I'm freaking out. Okay, we make it through the tunnel.
Okay.
The minute we make it through the tunnel, my car is fine. It's fine.
All the lights go back
Yeah.
off.
On the other end of the tunnel, it has become a sunny day. Like the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. And it seems like, though, like we just keep driving and driving and driving. And it's almost like I was lost.
While you were in the tunnel?
No, this
Oh,
is
outside.
after. Like, it's almost like I was lost. Because you know, all the roads that I knew to take to get back to where we were, I was taking them, but it's like it wasn't leading us.
You weren't getting anywhere.
No, we wasn't getting nowhere. It was like a fog or
Oh my
something.
God, it was almost like you were caught in a time loop.
Sort of. And then when it was, I mean, and we drove around probably 15, 20 minutes. What felt like 15, 20 minutes. But then somehow when everything was said and done, we come out on the other end of Kingsport. And to this day, I can't tell you how we ended up there. Because I mean, none of the roads lead to the other end of
No,
Kingsport.
no.
But this is where we ended up, at the other end of Kingsport.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like coming out in Fort Henry.
And she doesn't remember either?
No, like, but more time had passed than just 15 or 20 minutes.
It definitely, to me, it sounds like a time loop.
It was like the craziest thing ever. And I have honestly never been back to Sensabaugh Tunnel since that day.
I don't blame
never
you.
been back. Like I said, it was crazy. It was wild.
That is crazy. You matched my crazy with
Yeah.
this one. Because
Yeah.
I've heard of time loops and stuff like that, and I've watched videos on other people's stories about them. But, like, I don't know those people.
Well, see,
and, like, I know you, and
I
I'm
mean,
like,
it was just the craziest thing because I mean, it didn't feel like this much time had passed. The roads that I were taking should be the roads to get us back to where we needed to go, but we ended up somewhere completely different on the other end of town.
that's insane.
It was crazy.
And the fact that you can't remember how you got there.
Yeah, and she was even like, "How did we get here?" I still, to this day, have no clue.
Ooh.
No clue.
That's
None whatsoever.
crazy. There's a lot of stuff like that happens with, like, when you get into the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
For the few people they have found. Or, like, going through, like, wormholes and stuff like that. And I swear, the way these people talk, I believe them. Most of them. Like, we'll talk about that on another video, because wormholes fascinate me. Because these people that I'm talking about, like, that have swore up and down that they go through wormholes, they all say the exact same things.
Yeah.
And, like, they seem like super believable people. But another episode. I digress.
Moving on.
Let's
Moving
see.
on.
That is insane.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you wanted to tell me that.
Honestly, I have not thought about it till today, till you started talking about
Really?
Sensabaugh Tunnel. Yeah, because, you know, like, I'm very good at blocking stuff out anyhow. So,
Disassociating.
yeah. So I truly did not think about it. Then you start talking about Sensabaugh Tunnel. And
You're like,
then,
oh, gosh.
I know, and I was like, wait, I remember now.
Oh, creepy.
It was crazy. It was crazy. But I've not been back.
Okay, oh God, they're both kind of scary, but one is way scarier than the other one. I totally forgot about this. I did think about telling it last night, but then I forgot about it again until we just started talking about things we've forgotten. Because I try to block this out, but I do think of it from time to time. And when last night I was thinking about what paranormal stories I wanted to tell, this is one I have never told anyone except maybe 4 people. And 2 of those people are my mother and my sister, because they were the ones that had to save me. When I say save me, I was technically safe, but I was freaking out. Like, I was having a horrible panic attack. Like, I got the absolute crap scared out of me. Like, those might have been, the cat thing was probably the craziest, because I actually touched it. But this one right here, I'm thinking about, I'll just go ahead and tell you the scariest one. And clutch your pearls. So, like I said when we left off for a second, that I would just go ahead and tell my scariest one, and I cannot wait for you to hear it. I forgot that I had.
Excited. I just spit.
Like I said, I literally forgot about this until we started talking about things we've forgotten. Even though I thought about it last night, it's like it totally left my brain to tell this story.
Oh, it does sometimes say.
Okay, this is so scary for me. There's like lots of places I won't even talk about it. Like I've never told the story inside my own house because this is where it happened.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's when it was still my granny and grumps' house.
So the house you're in now.
The house I live in now.
Where the little Dabian cat and stuff was.
Yes.
Yeah. What you call it, a mimic?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to say that, but I couldn't remember the word.
You got it, girl.
Yeah.
So, this is when I'm young. Okay, so this is still my grumps' house. My granny is in the nursing home at this time because she had a massive stroke. So she couldn't move her entire right side. So she had been in the nursing home for a while.
My heart's already broke.
Yeah, it was rough. But my granny was my absolute best friend. I mean, she was up until the day she died. She was legit my everything. I was with her all the time, especially because when I was younger, my dad was sick. We spent a lot more time with our grandparents because my mom and him would be traveling to, help him get better at Duke and stuff like that. He had esophageal cancer. And so we were just with our grandparents a lot, and I loved it there. It was beautiful. That's why I live there now. I mean, yes, I inherited it, but I would never sell it. Like, that's my home place. Like, that is my home. And this is like the only bad memory I have from this place. Like, I love my house. I think I was either 13 or 14. And like I said, it's a farm. It was a farm. We had cows. The cows actually got out. Okay, so in this land, there's like a lot of field. Then there's a creek, and on the side of the creek, there's a lot more field. Well, so it's technically you have to drive a little ways to get to the other field. The cows got out on the other side of the field, so far away from my grandma's house. My uncle calls and is like, "You're gonna have to come down here and help me get the cows up." Talking to my grumps, and my grumps isn't exactly well, but he does, there was nobody else to really help other than my mom and my aunt. And so, me being, teen angst, I was like, I'm not going,
Wow.
Victoria, my younger sister, she actually went with mom. So I'm alone in the house by myself, which is completely normal. I've been alone in this house off and on my entire life. This is where I have grown up. There's never, we moved into this house, it's their house. Nothing scary ever happened there when growing up. Nothing. I'm there by myself. I'm laying there just watching TV in the living room. Everything's totally fine. I don't feel like a presence. Nothing feels weird. Just normal. And then all of a sudden, it was like the house had like a heaviness to it. Out of nowhere. Now, I was really struggling mentally at this time. My anxiety was through the roof. They didn't really know what was going on because that was before doctors started treating everybody for anxiety because it's so bad in the world today. But back then, it wasn't like how it is now where they just throw you such and such. And they're like, here, try this medicine. Here, try this medicine. They honestly didn't know what was really going on with me at the time. And so I got really panicky because I felt like such a heavy presence in the house out of nowhere, and it's almost like it waited to get me alone in the place I probably felt the most safe in the world. That's how I feel about it. And the way that the house set up, I was in the living room, and behind the living room you can go into either the formal living room or down a hallway. The hallway light was off. We never had it on, and it started flickering, and it was not on. So it went from being off to start flickering on and off. And it would do it for not like a strobe light type thing. It was sometimes it would be on for every bit of 4 or 5 seconds and then shut off. And then it would go to where it was going really, really fast off and on. And I was like, it feels like an eternity that I stood there and watched it. But in reality, it was probably 25 seconds max. I was absolutely freaking terrified. I go running out the house. There's nobody around it. I didn't have a cell phone because this was before the time that like young kids got cell phones. And excuse me, I ran outside the house, and even on the outside of the house, it felt so heavy, which I thought was crazy. And it could have just been my fear that I felt that way outside because of something so crazy happening inside. So I was like, I moved away from the side of the house. I kind of like went down the driveway just a little bit, like probably 30 feet. And was just kind of looking at the front of the house. And like the more I looked at it, the more uneasy I felt. And I was just like, no, I'm done. And this was where they're at. I could walk there, but if I walked there, it takes so long that most likely we're going to miss each other. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I can't walk there because most likely I'll miss them. It's starting to get dark. I don't have a flashlight because, like I said, I don't have a cell phone. So I run down the driveway, and down the driveway a little ways is actually my aunt and uncle's house. But like I said, they're not there. They're helping my grandparents get the cattle up. Nobody's down there. And they never locked their house, but for some reason the house was locked. I think that maybe they had been gone somewhere, and then they came back and saw the cows out and didn't even come home, and they went straight to the other side of the farm. And I was like, oh my God. And I was just like, okay, it's fine. I didn't feel the heaviness as bad. So I was like, okay, I'll just sit here on the front porch. And even though you can look up and see my grandparents' house, I was like, I just won't look up there. And so I sit down on the steps, and there's a pillar, and I sat up against that pillar so like I wouldn't even have a visual view of my grandparents' house. And I was probably okay for like maybe 2 minutes. And this, God, it just makes me like, it almost makes me feel sick when I talk about this. I hear, bitch, it's scary, sorry. I hear my grandmother's voice.
Oh.
Hollering from up the hill. And that was not unusual when she was well. We would be down there playing we'd be down there playing at my aunt's house. And it was not unusual for her to holler for me and my sister to come back up because for dinner or for bath time or whatever. But like I said, I mean, my grandmother is in the nursing home. Like, she can't even speak anymore. And I heard my grandmother's voice like before the stroke. Plain as day. It sounded just like her. And like it felt like every hair on my body stood up. And I was like, 100%. I was like, no. I'm scaring myself. I was like, I'm imagining this. And then my grandmother had a nickname for me. My middle name's Tiffany. And for some reason, my granny, just as a pet name, she would call me Tiff Tiff or Ariel Tiff Tiff. And I don't know how that got started, but she just had called me that my whole life. And what scared me more than hearing her call my name the first time, because it was just Ariel, is I literally heard her plain as day, just like it used to sound like when she was well, up there on the porch hollering for me and my sister. She hollered, Ariel Tiff Tiff. Sounded just like my grandmother, but I swear to you, Josh, it was like it echoed. Like, it echoed throughout the field in front of, like, it echoed. Like, I can't even describe it. Like, it was like an echo. But nobody else heard it. Like, I'll get to that part. But, I mean, it felt like it literally came from all around me, and almost like it kept going. Like, not for a long time, maybe like 2 seconds. It was almost like, Ariel Tiff Tiff, Ariel Tiff Tiff, Ariel Tiff Tiff. Like an actual echo. Yeah. And like I said, every hair on my body stood up, and I literally went like this to turn. I was frozen in fear, but I did turn enough to look up at their house, and you could see their front porch, and that's where we always sat as a family every night. And I literally saw my grandmother standing at the end of the porch, hollering for me and waving like this to come home. Ooh, I've got chills. And went into full-blown panic, obviously. And I was like, I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. I tried to rip the door open at my aunt and uncle's house. I couldn't. I broke a window out. When I say window, not the glass, it was just the window was up to let the air through, but I totally busted in their screen window, crawled through the window, fell every bit of a 4-foot drop. Yes, I landed on a couch, but honey, I was getting it. I scraped the shit out of my knee. I was in a full-blown panic. Like, imagine, like, you know how in the movies, like, literally they'll fall off something, then they'll scramble to get up? That was me. And I went running to the my cousin's room, which was one of the furthest rooms in the house. And I went flying in there and flung myself up under her bed. And no shit, I could literally still hear that voice echoing in my head when I got hidden under the bed. And I don't know how long I laid there. It felt like forever. It felt like I was there for hours. I was not even anything close to it, but it was like time meant nothing because I was freaking terrified. I did hear the cars coming down the driveway, and I went flying. I actually unlocked the door from inside the house and ripped it open and went flying down the steps. And my aunt and uncle and my mom and sister and my gramps, they're like, what are you doing? And like my face, I have been traumatized. Like, I am freaking, like, my entire face is bloodshot red. I'm sobbing, like, audibly sobbing, like, can't catch your breath sobbing, hyperventilating. Full-blown panic. My mom gets me in the car, and she tells my grandpa and everything like that we gotta go, because something is obviously really wrong with me. And on the way home, like, my mom actually stops, pulls the car over, because I cannot catch my breath, because I'm freaking out so bad. And I tell my mom the whole story, and I was like, oh my God, she's not going to believe me. She's not going to believe me. Thank God for my mother, because she believed every word I said and, like, didn't make me feel crazy. And we prayed, like, she literally, when we stopped that car, she sat down, she prayed with me. Well, we were already sitting down, but we prayed about it. And, like, my mom just kind of, like, asked for a blessing over me and for my mind to be at ease and for all evil to just, like, basically get away from me. And I felt a lot better. Like, I felt like a load, like, lifted off my chest. And that was pretty much it. But, like, it traumatized me so bad that, like, this is, I feel so embarrassed to say this, but it's the truth. I was probably, like I said, I was either 13 or 14. And I slept in the bed with my mother because of that instance until I was about 16 years old. It literally petrified me. I couldn't go to my grandpa's house for a long time after that. But when I went back, it was like nothing had ever happened, because I swear I think it was just my mother praying over me and, like, just really putting my faith in my God. And I swear nothing like that ever happened again. But to this day, like I said, I'll never know. Well, I didn't say this, but I'll never know for sure what it was, obviously. But what I have always thought it was, and I could be dead set wrong. How am I ever going to know? Hope I never find out the truth. My whole life, ever since that happened, I've been like, I think that was a demon. But like I said, we'll never know. But that is the scariest thing that has ever happened to me, hands down.
That would freak me out.
I was absolutely petrified. And like I swear, I do not like to talk about it, but I was like, for the sake of the podcast, I will tell the story. But I'm dead serious. Until now, I've told like maybe 4 other people about that. Crazy, right?
That's wild.
Whew.
I didn't get you a few gulps.
Literally. Oh. I guess you could tell how uncomfortable I was.
Yeah. That's get you a few gulps and a few gulps.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm totes ready to hear your next story.
Well, I have a really long one, and then I have a really short one that I can
Let's hear the long one.
Okay.
You know I love when you tell me stories.
Yeah. Okay.
Honey, this bitch can set a scene.
Picture it.
Back in 93.
Right around, actually. Right around. Right around that. I was young. I was very, very young. And we grew up in an older home that came with a lot of history. And I can't remember exactly how old I was. I mean, I probably 4 or 5. I don't think that I was quite in school yet,
Okay.
but maybe I was. And and I think I might have told you this story before,
Ooh.
but I can't remember. But I was the youngest of 5, and the oops baby at that.
Oopsie.
Yeah, so, I was the only child that had toys,
Right.
because my brothers and sisters were
Oh my God, you have told me this.
yeah, they were teenagers.
Oh, it makes my skin crawl.
they were teenagers, so they didn't have children toys.
Right.
But I did, and I would always get in trouble, always, all the time, because my mama and her blessed OCD. Yeah, I would always put my toys away where they're supposed to go, and I'd always get in trouble for my toys being left out, just left out on the floor,
Yeah.
pulled out, and I would swear up and down that it wasn't me.
Right.
And I'd still get punished,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not punished, but, made to pick up my toys.
Right.
Given the
You
pep
had to pick
talk.
up the mess
Yeah.
you didn't make. Yeah.
And I swore up and down, I always swore it was not me, because it wasn't me. So, one evening, well, it was late at night, and like every good Southern family, and we leave the light on over the stove.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty much the basic Southern night light.
I agree. I do it to this day.
I do too. And a lot of times that'd be the only light on in the house at
Right.
night would, usually be
The stove light.
The stove light. But it gave enough light to where you could see down the hallway.
Right.
Because from the kitchen you walked into the hallway, and then the bedrooms and stuff were down that way.
Right.
So, I got up one night, get something to drink, and I was in the kitchen getting a glass of water, something out of the fridge, but I remember I had a glass in my hand.
Right.
I do remember that. And I remember turning around, and there was this little boy, a little younger than me.
So
and,
little.
Yeah, we're talking maybe 3. He had this bluish complexion, little bibbed overalls on.
Oh.
And he, I didn't really feel threatened,
Right.
or it wasn't like a
Scary.
yeah, it wasn't scary. I didn't feel. I mean, it scared me, but I wasn't.
You didn't feel threatened.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was in harm. So, anywho, I freaked out. I dropped my glass. It broke. My mom woke up. I told her what I saw. My mother, you're just dreaming.
Right.
You shouldn't be watching those scary movies with your brothers.
Yeah.
That type of thing. All right. So I didn't really think anything of it.
Right. Did you think you probably just, because where you're so little, you probably just either kind of shoved it away or convinced yourself your mother was right?
Probably a little of both.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, I didn't know, that much about ghosts or
Yeah,
anything.
because you were so little.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all we had was Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was
Right.
as scary as it pretty much got.
They used to
back
scare the
then.
hell out of me when I was
It
little.
kind of did me too. We truly wanted to be the Midnight Club, but that's apparently already taken.
Yeah, the audacity. I'm just kidding.
People.
They have good taste with
They
names.
do. They do, honey. But listen, a few Google searches and here we are.
That's right, honey.
Yes. Anyway, I digress. So, fast forward a couple years, I am probably pre-teens at this point in time, 11, 12. It's when my father's starting to get a little bit more sick. I mean, there hadn't been any weird instances in the house, but again,
Right.
I didn't have small toys. They were all put away now.
Right.
And we owned our house, and then we also had the house beside of us. And my sister lived there with my brother, and my brother's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there was, not. It was an old neighborhood. A lot of the houses were older. Some of the houses were newer. It just kind of depends. Now, I know from our backyard, because we had the side yard, and there's little apple trees and little apple orchard. And then there was a little trail that you could take that led to this really old cemetery.
Ooh.
Old cemetery. And it was very grown up and stuff. We were never allowed to play in it, which of course we still did.
Rebels without a cause.
Yeah. That really doesn't have any point to the story, but anyway, that just kind of gives you
Sets the scene.
the dynamics of the land and stuff.
Right.
Because because a lot a lot of the land that was around our house was at one point part of a farm that our house was the farmhouse to.
Right.
So, fast forward, like I said, we're fast forward a few years. My brother's girlfriend, who, I mean, she, I guess, was a little bit into, odd things, strange things, witchy things.
Okay.
And she was she was in college, so she was doing her some college paper on witchcraft and spells and things like that.
Right.
So she was doing a lot of research. She was reading a lot of old texts, a lot of old books.
A lot of stuff she probably shouldn't have been reading.
Yeah, like she was starting, and she went down a rabbit hole, and it's easy to do. We've all been there.
Right.
And then things started happening, not in the house I lived in, but
Right.
the house beside us where my sister and them. And I mean, it started getting pretty bad. I mean, stuff flying off the shelves, drawers, opening by themselves, like
I
closets
cannot
slamming.
imagine living in a house like that.
It all started off very, just very simple things, just things being out of place, things,
And then it got
it
more-
started,
it
yeah,
re-upped.
as time went on, it got worse. And so back to the old neighborhood, there was a little lady that lived in our neighborhood. I won't mention her name. And she was, the local story goes, that she was like, I don't want to say voodoo, but she was kind of into
Maybe hoodoo.
like
Because that's more common here.
into the witchcrafts and things
Right.
like that. She was pretty. There was a lot of lore kind of around her, and now she had since then passed away and was actually buried in her backyard.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the craziest thing, buried in her backyard. So it seems like out of nowhere one day, her grandson shows up to her house.
Now, did she have gifts of foresight?
That I'm not sure.
Okay, because I wondered if that's how he got his. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm not 100% sure, but like I said, he shows up uninvited, saying that he had been called.
Oh,
Yeah. Now, called by what? I'm not sure.
right,
But he knew something was going on
right.
in this house. And like I said, everything he told us was very
On the nose.
on the nose. My mother, being the skeptical that she is, that's probably where I get it from. She putting him to the test.
Right. Which, so she should. I mean, she should have totally
Yeah.
done that. I agree
'Cause,
100%.
honey.
Because, I mean, she didn't know him.
Yeah, and she's a fine, upstanding Christian lady. So, honey, for
She
her,
was not about it.
For her to dabble in, don't get me wrong, they do dabble. They do dabble. I have a story for that too, but that's a different story.
Oh,
But anyhow, she like, and she was very, like, forward. Well, not forward, but she was very blunt with him.
yeah, like, tell me this.
Yeah, tell me something that no one else could tell me.
Right.
And he told her that she was the rose of her family. And honey, that struck a chord. Like it takes a lot to throw my mama off.
Right.
beat.
This when he first told me this story, I was like taken aback.
Yeah. Which I won't go into the whole reason why she's called the rose of the family and all that good stuff.
Oh,
but,
man.
Okay, fine. We can. So,
I feel like it gives it good context.
all right, fine, we will. So my mother, when she was a very, very small child, this is the late 50s that we're talking about. My grandfather was, well, I guess being called to preach. I don't know how else to put it.
Right. No, that sounds right.
But he was running from this calling, so to say. Mm-hmm. So my mother, they lived on a big farm right outside of town, and she stepped on a rusty nail. She was maybe 2-3 years old.
Right.
So she stepped on a rusty nail. She got lockjaw. And at that certain point in time, lockjaw, if you got it, you just died. There was
Right.
no, I mean, some people, not everyone died, but it was
Really
given-
common to die.
Yeah, especially in small children.
Right.
So she's in a hospital bed, unconscious, all this good stuff. And according to my grandfather, that God appeared to him. Not in a dream, not in anything like that, but just appeared to him like an audible voice. That that voice of God, and showed him a vision of my mother in her hospital bed, and told him that if he does not go out and preach his word, that he will take his most beautiful flower. He will pluck it from his home. So my grandfather accepted his calling to preach, started building a church. My mother got better, and he would always call her his Rose. And so that shook my mother. When I tell you that shook my mother, that shook my mother.
Heck yeah.
So I don't know what he needed to do to this house to get it back to where it needed to be, but something needed to be done. A ritual, something along
Joshua
those
was
lines.
not allowed to attend.
I wasn't. I wanted to so bad.
But his mama was like,
My curiosity was so piqued. And on the way out, he told my mother that she had a spirit attached to her, a spirit of a little boy, and that it's been attached to her for a long time now, that this little boy sees her as his mother. So, like I said, we have never really experienced anything, but I mean, it's very heavy on our hearts and our minds. So we go back to our house, which is, right up the hill.
right.
And my mother, this has just got her,
Tore it from the floor up.
Yes, because this is just
Rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so. So we are sitting in the living room. Me and my mom are sitting in the living room. We're the only ones in the house. We had a ceiling fan in there, and it wasn't on. The ceiling fan was not on.
Right.
But all of a sudden, it just started going. The ceiling fan just started going. Not like it was on, though.
Now, is this why the guy that showed up was over there doing like the ritual or whatever?
Yeah, he was starting. Yeah, that he was over there doing his thing. Yes.
Oh my God.
But it wasn't as though like someone had turned the ceiling fan on. It's like someone had their hand and was just
slowly moving it.
Moving it. Yeah, it was like, and my mother and her very commanding mama voice said, "Now you stop that," and it stopped. So
I bet you it was the little boy spirit.
like I said, as time went on, I want to say maybe freshman year, sophomore year, we had to do, it was in history for history. So, living in a historic home, it's really easy.
Yeah.
So I just decided to do that, and come to find out, our house before it had any indoor plumbing in it, it had old cisterns.
Okay.
And there were two. And I remember one was down by the carriage house.
Okay.
And we were never allowed to play down there. My mother always, never. She actually grew bushes up
so you couldn't
we
get
couldn't
to
get
it.
to it. Because it always
scared her.
There was always something about that spot that she did not like. I don't know what it was, but she absolutely got it, like it was out of sight.
Right.
And lo and behold, there was an old newspaper clipping of a little boy that had drowned in,
I forgot about this part.
yes, in one of those cisterns. And this was probably in the late 20s, 1920. And
Like the outfit matches and everything for that time.
the whole description. But like I said, as we got older, it didn't.
Less things happened.
The less things happened.
Well, I'm sure the house, things in the house became less appealing because there wasn't toys anymore and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then eventually, we moved.
Yeah.
So after Dad died, Mom didn't live in the house too much longer.
Right.
So, but by the time that I graduated high school, she was, moving out.
Right.
So,
That's crazy.
It was pretty wild. So I'm pretty sure that was my very first experience with a ghost of some sort.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, I never said it was. I never acknowledged it
Right.
until I met her.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
We appreciate you taking the journey with us.
100%. And next episode, we're going to have even more personal stories. It's just, this has been going for over an hour now. So we're going to cut this off. But our next podcast episode is going to have even more personal stories. You won't want to miss it.
Be sure to like, follow, add, show us some love.
Yes, and please subscribe also. Please subscribe. That would mean the world to us. We appreciate you guys so much.